This video is for Chapter 17, which is about recursion. We're going to write a program that uses a recursive function called reverse digits that's passed an integer parameter and returns the number reverse. There was a similar program exercise in Chapters 5 and again in Chapter 6, so the actual code in the function itself may be familiar to some of you, but we are going to solve it recursively, and it is pretty short, so I'm actually going to key in the whole program, starting with my header, and the only one I need is IOStream, since I'm only inputting an integer. And of course we're in the normal namespace. And my prototype statement, it's going to be a void function called reverse the digits. And again, I'm passing it an integer parameter. And then function main. And I only have one declaration, and that's for my integer number that I'm going to ask the user to input. So I want to prompt the user to enter an integer. And I'm going to do my cout a little bit differently because I'm going to use an if statement. And as long as cn is a number, and I only have to use this if one time. I don't need a loop because the function is going to call itself over and over again until it gets to the base case, which is the whole point of recursion. So inside this if, I want to cout the number reversed. So I want to put a label here. First of all, the number that I typed in. And then reversed. And I'm going to call my function even though I haven't written it yet. But again, it is very short. And I'm passing it number. And my else clause is going to be invalid input. Because remember, in that if, cn number is returning a true or false. And because of the way I'm doing this, I also want to use my flush manipulator so that I am actually clearing the buffer, and I need to put it up here on the cout statement, or rather the cout statement here as well, so that my buffer is clearing so that I can actually use this condition cn number. And then let's do a system pause, although we don't really need it. But remember, we can do calls to the system library using the word system, pause being one of those, another one being clear screen, CLS. And then the end of my main program. And that's it. So I'm ready for my function, which is void reverse digits. And I'm calling it with number, but I'm going to use a different parameter here to distinguish my pass by reference, pass by value from my actual variable in main called number. And what I want to do is start stripping the numbers, the digits, off of the number from right to left. So I'm going to mod x by 10. For instance, if x were 25 and I mod it by 10, then the remainder is 5. So I've pulled off the first digit. Then I'm going to check to see if x is actually greater than 10. And if it is, I'm going to call the function again. That's recursion, calling a function calling itself. And I am going to change the value of x, otherwise I would be calling it over and over again infinitely. So I'm going to divide x by 10, which gives me the next place. Now in the case of 25, as we've seen, we stripped the 5 off by modding x by 10. And x 20 is greater than 10. 25 is greater than 10. So now I'm going to divide x by 10. So 25 divided by 10, this is integer division, gives us a 2. So now we have the second number stripped, and it does call the function again, but we're going to get a remainder of 0, and x won't be greater than 10, so that would be the end of the call. If I had a larger number, it's going to keep calling it until x is no longer greater than 10. So I'm taking care of my base case by checking for x is greater than 10. And I continue to call recursively reverse the digits, which I misspelled here. And I'm changing the value of x so that I do get an end case. I do get to the base case. So let me build it and see if I typed it all in and spelled correctly. It looks like I did. And we'll run it a couple of times to see the output. It hasn't linked yet. There we go. So let's do 25 as our first test. No, now we get build errors. Strange. Somewhere I mistyped that. Wrong symbol. Hopefully that's it. Yes. So as I said earlier, we'll test it first with 25 because that was a pretty easy one to step through and see how it actually works as far as getting to the base case, which you have to do. So I'm going to put in 25, and it's pretty quick. 25 reversed is 52, and I should put an endl there so that's easier to read. So let me come back and add an endl at the end of the output line, and we'll try a couple more, including an error. So let's put in something other than a number this time. Let's put in some characters and see if it does execute correctly. Invalid input, so that was correct. This time let's just put in a bigger number. And there it is reversed, 4563 3654. So that's recursion.